The reason for that is that each warehouse requires separate information for all of the stuff that we see on the screen here. Product costing, pricing, all of the procurement and planning information, the min-max stuff, MRP instructions, the accounting instructions, which can be very intensely detailed. Physical and cycle count batches have to be done separately for each warehouse, and if you do have separate warehouses and things need to move between them, transfers need to be made, transactions have to take place. So it's a big deal, and we recommend tight security of a warehouse setup, and keep in mind that a warehouse cannot be deleted once it's created and there's history assigned to items in that warehouse. Now, the better alternative is using bin or location control, depending on how you want to phrase this. This is a better way to go for many reasons, and the important thing to know about Macola is that you will make the decision about which warehouses will support bin control. A receiving inspection location or an MRB or non-conforming, there's just so few items in that warehouse at any given time, hopefully. It really doesn't need bin control. So at the warehouse location, you would not turn on that multiple bins flag. Then there's a control at the item level, because certain items in a location might be ones that you want to control, but you don't really care about, say, the corrugated, which is very easy to see and it's easy to find, and we just put it wherever, and then we have to kind of move it around to make space in the warehouse anyway, as compared to pick locations. So you would check on a specific item in a specific warehouse to identify it as being under bin control in that warehouse. And bins can be very large areas. Don't think of just shelf spaces. It could be something broad like cooler number 3 or overflow warehouse or something like that. And you can have, I think, up to 8 characters to identify a warehouse location. One of the advantages of using bin control is that your ability to drill down into where an item might be is improved. So for instance, using multi-level item view, one of the ways that you can access this information, for any bin controlled item, you now get an item bin drill down, which when you drill into an item shows you not only where the items are, but how many are on hand in that location. Now, this bin location information can be printed on customer order pick tickets, or POP or shop floor control, the material component pick tickets. And notice too that bins can also be assigned priorities. So for instance, here we might have bin A10A as the primary pick location. So picture that in your warehouse, that's the bin that's on the floor, and maybe A10B as the overstock or the second shelf or the third shelf in that same aisle, so that somebody has to knock that down for you to be able to pick from it. But then we may have a whole bunch over in bin 100, which might be an overstock area that's just open flooring, and we would bring several pallets, one to replace what's in bin 10 and maybe put some above in bin 20 or in priority 20. And this is how the bin location definition in the bin master record is set up, where the priority can be defined. You can also go so far as to identify for this particular bin what is the cube information or the maximum capacity. Now, the functionality isn't very robust as it relates to this warehouse management information, but through custom reporting and through the third-party applications that can be added onto your Macola system, you can also take advantage of all of that information that's in the system and back at the item level as well. Moving on to one of my favorite topics, the physical and cycle count functions within the system are actually pretty robust. Physical inventories, unfortunately for most companies, are a necessary evil. And the reason why they're a necessary evil is because the cycle counting process has not been fully implemented to the point where we don't need a physical inventory. But that's the ideal place that we want to be. So we highly recommend that all of our clients implement cycle counting, whether or not you can get to the point where you can eliminate your physical inventory. But several of our clients have been successful in eliminating their costly annual physical inventory process altogether, and their auditors have put the holy water on their processes and audited their cycle counts and said, yes, your inventory is as accurate as you say it is. As an APIX professional, all of the literature within the APIX body of knowledge will tell you the same thing. Physical count equals evil, cycle count equals good. We're going to talk about why. Well, sorry about all the text here, folks, but here's why. First of all, what is cycle counting? First of all, it's an inventory controlled practice. Okay, so bottom line is this is all about inventory control, in which different portions of the inventory is counted or physically checked on a continuous schedule. That means we're doing this pretty much daily, if not every other day, or at least a couple of times a week. Each portion of the inventory is counted at a preset frequency. So if you looked at a specific item in a warehouse, you could tell an auditor that we count this item 4 times a year, and we count this item twice a year, and we count this item once a year. And what we're trying to do is ensure that each item is at least counted once in every accounting period, which is typically a year. And we identify all of our fast-moving or long lead time or more expensive items. In other words, our A items are counted more than slower-moving or less expensive ones. In other words, our C items. And certain items, if we really need to, are counted every day if they are A, problematic, or B, highly critical to us and subject to a lot of variations and potential erroneous quantities on hand. So you might ask, well, will our auditors accept cycle counting instead of an annual physical? I can tell you without backing up from this at all, if you have